The groom didn't touch me once, my husband didn't kiss me after the vows. People clapped. Cameras flashed. The pastor smiled and said, "You may now kiss the bride." And my husband just hugged me, awkward, tight, like he was restraining himself. Everyone laughed it off. I didn't. Because when I whispered, "Are you okay?" he whispered back, "Do exactly what I say tonight. No matter what you hear." I laughed too, because that's what brides do. But his hands were shaking. The wedding gift that wasn't a gift at the reception, he barely drank, barely ate, barely looked at me. At 10:47 p.m., he leaned in and said, "I forgot something important upstairs." I teased him. "On our wedding night?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "If I don't come back in 1 hour," he said softly, "do not call the police." My smile froze. "What?" He kissed my forehead and walked away, alone, married, confused. By 11:30 p.m., guests were leaving. My phone buzzed non-stop. "Where's your husband? Is everything okay? Newlywed problems already?" I went to our suite alone. That's when I saw it. A gift box on the bed. Black, heavy, locked. Attached was a card. Not romantic. Not sweet. Just 3 words. "Open at midnight." I should have run. I checked the bathroom, the closet, the balcony. No husband. No suitcase. No wedding ring. His was gone. I tried calling him. Disconnected. I tried the front desk. They told me something that made my blood turn cold. "There is no guest registered under that name." I laughed nervously. "That's impossible. I just married him." Silence. Then, "Ma'am, are you sure?" Midnight came anyway. I sat on the bed, staring at the box. 11:59. My hands were sweating. Then the clock flipped. 12 a.m. Before I could touch the box, I heard it. A sound so violent I screamed. Bang, bang, bang. Not the door, the wall behind the headboard. Then screaming. A woman screaming. From inside the room. And then, my husband's voice. Panicked. Desperate. "Please, she doesn't know." The sound cut off. Silence. Then laughter. Male. Cold. Close. The box opened by itself. The black box clicked. Unlocked. I didn't touch it. Inside was a phone. Already playing a video. My wedding. But not the ceremony. The prep room? Me, hours earlier. Laughing with my bridesmaids. And then, the video zoomed in. To the mirror behind me. Where a man was standing. Watching. Recording. I never saw him that day. But I recognized him instantly. Because he was sitting in the front row at the wedding. Smiling. Clapping. My husband's brother. The message that broke me. The video stopped. Text appeared on the screen. "Congratulations. You married the wrong brother." The lights went out. And something wet dropped onto my shoulder. I looked up. Blood. Dripping. From the ceiling. He was never missing. The door burst open. Hotel security. Police. Someone screaming my name. They dragged me into the hallway. And that's when I saw him. My husband. On the floor. Handcuffed. Beaten. Alive. Looking straight at me. And he screamed, "I tried to warn you, this was never a wedding." They didn't take my husband to the hospital. They took me to the police car. Still in my wedding dress. Still shaking. Still smelling like champagne and blood that wasn't mine. I kept screaming, "He's alive. He's right there." But no one looked at him. Not once. Because to them, there was no husband. The man I married didn't exist at the station. They laid it out calmly. Too calmly. The name I married? Fake. The ID I had seen 100 times? Stolen. The company he claimed to work for? Shut down 8 years ago after a fraud investigation. And then came the sentence that broke my knees. "The man you married tonight has been dead for 3 years." I laughed. Loud. Hysterical. "You just saw him breathing." The detective slid a photo across the table. A grave. A headstone. His face. His name. His date of death. I threw up on the floor. Then his brother walked in. They let him in like he belonged there. Still in his suit. Still smiling. The same smile from the wedding. "My condolences," he said softly, sitting across from me. "You must be in shock." I lunged at him. They restrained me. He didn't flinch. "Careful," he whispered. "Everything here is being recorded." I screamed, "You were in the video." He tilted his head. "What video?" The detective frowned. "What video?" My stomach dropped. The phone from the box? Gone. No evidence. No footage. Just me, And my word, the charge they hit me with, they didn't accuse me of murder. Not yet. They charged me with conspiracy, fraud, identity theft, accessory to a staged death. According to them, the story went like this. I married a man I helped hide. We planned to disappear together, something went wrong, and I panicked. They said the midnight sounds, construction noise, the blood, paint from a leaking pipe, the hidden door, never existed. I realized something terrifying in that moment. The hotel was in on it, the only person who told the truth. They put me in a holding cell. Hours passed. Then a woman sat beside me. Older. Housekeeping uniform. She didn't look at me at first. Then she whispered, "They do this every few years." My heart stopped. Do what? She finally met my eyes. Pick a bride. The brides who vanished. She told me things I wasn't supposed to know. Weddings held in the same hotel. Grooms who disappeared. Brides blamed, charged, or who had breakdowns. Some went to prison. Some were declared unstable. Some simply vanished from the system. They choose women without powerful families, she said. No one who can fight back. I thought of my parents. Gone. My siblings. Abroad. Me. Alone. Perfect. The worst truth of all. At dawn, they released me. No charges yet. Just pending investigation. Outside the station, a black car waited. His brother was inside. He opened the door for me like a gentleman. You can either get in, he said, or you can watch this story ruin your life slowly. I got in. The real reason he married me. He didn't pretend anymore. You weren't supposed to hear the sounds, he said casually. That part went wrong. I whispered, where is he? He smiled. Everywhere. And nowhere. Then he dropped the truth like a bomb. I needed a wife, he said. Because wives inherit things girlfriends don't. My chest tightened. What did I inherit? He handed me a folder. Inside were documents already signed. My signature. Perfect. Familiar. Forged. I owned something now. Something very expensive. Something very illegal. And every crime tied back to my name. The final twist of the night before dropping me off, he leaned close and said, "You should thank your husband." For what? For choosing you instead of killing you. I froze. He begged for your life, the brother continued. Said you were innocent. Said you didn't know. He smiled wider. So I made a deal. The car stopped. I whispered, what deal? He opened the door. A lifetime of silence. In exchange for him staying alive. The message that arrived that morning. When I got home, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. A photo. My husband. Alive. Bruised. Holding today's newspaper. And beneath it, one sentence. Don't try to find me. They're watching you now. I cried on purpose the next morning. Not because I was broken, but because broken women are underestimated. I let the tabloids eat me alive. Bride involved in wedding night scandal. Groom vanishes. Wife questioned. I stopped answering calls. Stopped posting. Stopped correcting lies. Because silence made them comfortable. And comfort makes people sloppy. The thing they didn't know, the documents his brother forced on me. I read every page. Slowly. Carefully. At 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., at sunrise. They thought I wouldn't understand legal language. They were wrong. What I inherited wasn't just liability. It was access. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Properties under married names. And one small line buried deep in the paperwork that changed everything. In the event of spousal disappearance, full operational control transfers to the surviving spouse. I laughed so hard I cried. They'd handed me the knife and assumed I wouldn't know how to use it. The husband's last gift. Different number. No photo this time. Just coordinates. And 2 words. Trust me. I almost deleted it. Almost. Instead, I went. The storage unit, it was in an industrial area. Dusty. Forgettable. Inside the unit was a locked trunk. My wedding date was the code. Inside? A burner phone, a flash drive, and a letter written in my husband's handwriting. My hands shook as I read it. If you're reading this, it means I failed to protect you the easy way. I married you because you were kind. And because I needed someone smart enough to survive what comes next. He knew. He had known about his brother's operation for years. The weddings. The setups. The disappearing grooms. He'd tried to expose it once. They framed him. He faked his death to escape. Then they found him again. So he did the only thing left. He married me. The truth hurt more than the lies. I wasn't chosen randomly. I was chosen because I was capable. He needed someone who wouldn't break, someone who could pretend, someone who could wait. The letter ended with one sentence that destroyed me. I'm sorry I made you love me before I ruined your life. I sat on the floor of that storage unit and screamed. Then I stood up. Because love or not, they had made an enemy. I became exactly what they expected. I signed documents, attended meetings, played the grieving, confused wife. His brother started trusting me. Too much. He talked around me. In front of me. He forgot I was listening. I learned where the money moved. Who laundered it? Which officials were paid? I smiled. I nodded. I waited. The midnight sounds came back. 6 months later, on the anniversary of the wedding, I heard them again. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. This time, I didn't freeze. I opened the door. The brother's mistake. He came alone. That was his mistake. I think it's time we talked honestly, he said. I poured him a drink. He drank it. I watched his pupils dilate. Relax, I said softly. It's not poison. It wasn't. It was a truth serum. Legal, expensive, undetectable. And he talked. About everything. The arrests happened quietly. No press. No spectacle. Just sealed indictments. Raids at dawn. Accounts frozen. Men who thought they were untouchable, suddenly very touchable. His brother was arrested at an airport 2 weeks later. He tried to smile when he saw me. I smiled back. The final message. That night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One last time. A video. My husband. Older. Thinner. Alive. I'm free, he said quietly. So are you. I watched the video twice. Then I deleted it. The ending no one expected. People still ask me if I'd do it again. If I'd marry him knowing everything. I always say the same thing. No, then I pause. And yes, because some weddings don't begin a marriage. They begin a war. I thought it was over. That was my first mistake. Because when powerful people lose money, they don't get angry. They get patient. The death that didn't make sense 3 months after the arrests, the news broke quietly. A car accident. Single vehicle. Fire damage. No witnesses. The name punched the air out of my lungs. My husband. Declared dead again. This time, permanently. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Because the body was never shown. And because I knew something no one else did. They only announce deaths when they want you to stop asking questions. The envelope under my door. That night, I found an envelope. No stamp. No return address. Just my name. Inside was a photo. Me. Taken that morning. Leaving my apartment. Under it, a note written in familiar handwriting. You won the war. Now leave before they finish it. My hands went cold. He was alive. And he was scared. The thing I was never meant to find. I went back to the flash drive. The one I hadn't fully opened. Buried folders. Encrypted files. And then one labeled, The Brides. I clicked it. Hundreds of names. Photos. Wedding dates. Hotel locations. Outcomes. Institutionalized. Incarcerated. Disappeared. Deceased. I wasn't the first. I was just the first who fought back. And then I saw something that made my vision blur. A column titled, Successful Transfers. Every name under it, alive, protected, hidden, and every single one of them had done the same thing I did. They stayed quiet. The call that changed everything. My phone rang. A voice I didn't recognize. Calm, female, controlled. You've been very disruptive, she said. Who is this? A pause. The bride before you. The Sisterhood of Survivors. We met in a church basement. 5 women. Different ages. Different backgrounds. Same story. Same wedding night disappearance. Same trap. They didn't look broken. They looked dangerous. One of them leaned forward and said, You exposed one branch, not the tree. Another added, They let you live because they think you'll stop. The last woman smiled. Help us finish it. The choice I didn't hesitate over. I asked one question. Will it cost lives? She answered honestly. Probably. I nodded. Then teach me. They didn't call themselves victims. They called themselves wives. Because marriage gave them access no spy ever could. The network no one suspected. Judges. Hotel chains. Banks. Charities. All connected. All protected. All hiding behind weddings, galas, and smiling photos. And at the center? A private foundation that helped abused women rebuild their lives. The irony made me sick. That foundation funded the disappearances. My husband's final secret. One night, I finally got the call. Video. Poor signal. But it was him. I wasn't supposed to survive the second death, he said quietly. They turned on me when you didn't break. My chest hurt. I'm sorry, he whispered. I loved you. But I loved stopping them more. I closed my eyes. So what am I to you? I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Then, the end of it. The last wedding. The takedown didn't happen with arrests. It happened with a wedding, high profile, public, untouchable people. The bride, one of us. The groom, one of them. At midnight, during the reception, she stood up, tapped her glass, and pressed play. Videos, confessions, transactions, names, live streamed. Impossible to stop. I watched from another country as the room erupted. Screams, phones, guards panicking, the same way I once did. What happened after? They called it the largest private corruption collapse in decades. They never mentioned the brides. They never mentioned me. And that was fine. Because survival isn't loud. The final line for your audience: people still ask me if love was real, if the marriage mattered. I always say this. He didn't marry me to ruin my life. He married me to end theirs. And if you're watching this story thinking, that could never happen to me, that's exactly what I thought.